They will be shipped to buildings and ready for students on the first day of the 25-26 school year. The total cost is $174,765 for 3,558 kits, and the average price of the kit is $49. And we'll be using Title I funds for this. I feel like this is a good use of our Title I funds.
Thank you. What do you say, board?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and second for school supplies backpacks for the fee of $174,765. Any questions or comments?
Good job.
Last year, right before school started, I was at one of the big box stores, and there was a parent. She had 4 kids, and you could tell that she was struggling financially, and she was looking at the school supplies. And I told her, I said, I don't mean to be nosy or intrude, but District 118 is providing school supplies for all the students from K to 12. If you could have seen the look of relief on that mother's face, you just wouldn't believe it. I think it's an excellent idea.
It's the first year, this past year is when we did K through 12, and I will say I've had no requests for school supplies this year. So I think that what we purchased really worked. I haven't had a lot of, the principals haven't asked me for school supplies. It's already April. Maybe a few things have come in. So they've been very sufficient, and they dropped their prices for us this year.
Any other questions or comments? If not, voting on school supplies, $174,765. Roll call vote, please.
Elder Park,
Yes.
Mrs. Howard,
Yes.
Mrs. Horton,
Yes.
Ms. Payne,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Pastor Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Ashley.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Technology. Summer refresh.
Summertime. Good evening, board. Mr. Hart, Annette Hummel, Director of Technology. This time of year, doing summer refresh again. So we are looking at replacing our Chromebooks, about 800 Chromebooks this year. We're going to focus on Northridge with the 14-inch, going with the larger since they're like our high school. They're on their devices a lot more than the rest of the students. We're also going to replace 175 laptops and 144 desktops for staff and teachers. So the total cost is going to be $847,553.53. That's total with lease and warranty. Title will pay $644,595.84, which leaves $202,957.69 of local funds out of our budget, which I have already accounted for.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Yes, is this, tell us why this is necessary so the community.
Oh, sorry. We do a recycle every 4 to 5 years. We've kind of moved up our recycle for 5 years. Basically, what happens is the lease ends, the software updates, the security updates. They start to not. We're not able to get those done, and so this is very vital for our cybersecurity as well.
So we
Keeping up on those updates.
We switch out the student,
Yep.
not the students, the laptops
ones
and
that-
the
yes,
Chromebooks.
Correct.
So
correct.
the Northridge kids will be the ones
Yes.
that are focused
So
on. They'll
so
get new
this year,
ones?
yes. So we decided a couple years back that we were going to start looking at the 14-inch Chromebooks, because right now they're using the 11-inch, and so the high school, we did all the high school last year, and this year we're focusing on Northridge.
Okay.
And then we'll as we go to the Southview, and then the elementaries, we will decide, because I've got some feedback on that maybe those larger Chromebooks aren't good for the littles. So right now we're just going to focus those. So if we can if some of those Chromebooks that the students have are still under warranty, we will recycle those and use those.
That answered a part of the question right there.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? Refresh, is the total then 847, 530, 553, 30, 53? Yeah.
That long
Okay.
number, I know.
Summer refresh, that for that total, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Corley,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Elder Park,
Yes.
Pastor Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Holland,
Yes.
Ms. Payne,
Yes.
Dr. Ashton.
Yes, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 11, motion to consider settlement agreement with Superintendent Dr. Geddes.
I would
So
like to move to table motion to consider settlement agreement with Superintendent Dr. Geddes.
Second.
Third.
We'll have a second and a third. Have a motion to table this till when?
To the May 7th meeting.
To the May 7th meeting.
Yes, sir.
I have a motion to table the meeting to the motion till the next, that's the next meeting then, right?
No, we have one more in April.
We have, okay, so you want to go to the 2 meetings?
Yes, sir.
To the May 7th meeting. Questions or comments? No? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Schrader,
No.
Ms. Payne,
Yes.
Mrs. Holland,
Yes.
Pastor Miller,
No.
Elder Park,
No.
Mrs. Corley,
Yes.
Dr. Ashton.
No. Okay, motion fails. Now back to the original motion.
So move to consider the settlement agreement with Superintendent Dr. Alicia Geddes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Questions or comments?
Yes.
I am unequivocally opposed to this separation agreement. We have 2 law firms, including the attorney that represents this board, strongly tell us, underlined in their statement, they do not recommend our signing this agreement. For the last 3 years, this has been a divided board. Despite what you've been told, there is no transparency. I'm certain you've noted the phrase, the majority of the board. Quite simply, there have been 4 members of the board making decisions, often without even consulting the other members that have also been duly elected to represent you. Please know that this has been addressed many times, but some of us have been left out of the conversations and decisions. The agreement to be voted on is not in the best interest of the school district, the community, and our students who ultimately will pay the price for the cost of this agreement. It also leaves the new board a burden that will be time-consuming and it definitely will be a financial burden. It also does not address or resolve the issue of the previous superintendent's job abandonment. Such good things have been happening in our district under the leadership of Mr. Hart. It's time to move on and keep moving forward. You have my sincerest apology that this situation occurred and lacks an equitable solution.
I have serious concerns regarding the school board's potential liability if the board votes in favor of the proposed settlement agreement. Our board attorney has clearly advised against signing this agreement, and the attorneys from HLERC have provided detailed written guidance outlining why it would be inadvisable to disregard that counsel. I do not believe the board president is currently making decisions that reflect the best interest of our district. I am also deeply concerned that if this matter is not handled in a fair and transparent manner, we will risk losing valued employees, which would further harm this district. I want to state I clearly do not support this settlement. I once again formally request a full investigation into the circumstances surrounding this issue. I urge that any major decisions, including this one, be paused until the newly elected school board is seated on May 7th. With the current board's term ending soon, it is inappropriate and irresponsible to take actions that could have lasting negative impacts in our district. Why would we not listen to our attorneys? Why is our attorney not present this evening? How much are we talking on the settlement amount? I have specifically asked in detail the bottom dollar line, and I have yet to receive that. So I do not know how much money we are talking about at this moment. And that was an email to our board attorney. Thank you.
Being on the board for a short while, Mrs. Corley and I came in at the same time. And I must agree, there are times that things have occurred at the meetings where only they needed the 4 votes. And it's always the same 4 people. I'm a reasonably intelligent person, and if our attorneys, for which we are paying money for, tell us not to rush to judgment, not to settle, because all the information has not been provided. We've not heard the final judgment from TRS, which is a big part of a possible settlement. So I concur with 2 of my board members that we certainly should table this. Thank you.
I am I'm extremely concerned for the well-being of our district, for the financial responsibility for the district, for our students, and for our staff. And there's a lot. I just wish that we could. I wish we could say everything to everyone. I wish we could. At some point, it comes down to, for me, in part, the best worst option. We have got to be financially responsible, and we cannot allow we just cannot allow our students to suffer with potential. You're looking at, there is a potential for litigation. There's a potential for litigation, massive in either direction, and my personal opinion is the potential of not moving forward is a far greater risk to the district. It is, and we could disagree on that. I mean, we could disagree on that, and I wish that everyone had all the same information, and we could disagree on that. But that is a big concern for me to lay that in the seat of the next board. In addition, a couple of things. Dr. Geddes was not placed on paid leave pursuant to an investigation. She wasn't. She was placed on paid leave in order to because the community, the district, the staff really wanted an interim superintendent, and Mr. Hart's been doing a great job. I'm grateful for you. But there's a process for placing someone on paid leave pursuant to an investigation, and if you place them on paid leave and then do an investigation on the back end, it's improper. There's no due process, and I'm very concerned about our liability in that situation. I'm very concerned, and I've been concerned about due process issues since my very beginning with this district. There's a number of things, and I am happy to point them out to people. Dr. Geddes was, I disagree with Ms. Halloran about her way of saying that it was job abandonment. Dr. Geddes did not abandon her job. She was given permission to work remotely. She was given permission to work remotely because of safety issues. And for those of you who are kind of laughing in the gallery, that's I don't know, that gives me pause. There was a and I heard it so I can say it for myself. There was a threat made to this building and it was a very angry, unhinged person that called to threaten Dr. Geddes. And then a second call came and threatened women in authority it was a very upsetting call. And there's a FOIA out for it. There's a lot of FOIAs out. So I invite y'all to take a look or take a listen. But I listened to that and I knew that I sat next to her up here. And I remember thinking, wow, if someone came in a gun, could they shoot through here? I was literally afraid when I listened to that. And I thought, there is a danger. And I really believed that. And that was during the timing. It was afterwards, but that was during the timing where she was given permission to work at a distance. And people could disagree. Some people may not have been worried about it, but I was. And what I noticed was that after she was gone, and I was concerned for the people here in the building, but after she was gone, it stopped. We didn't have the same kind of threats. So in my mind, it was safer for her to work at a distance. That was what I believed. And we might disagree. Intelligent people can disagree, but that is truly what I believed. So I cannot say that it was job abandonment, not in my mind. And in my mind, that's just not an issue that we can go after her for.
But my son was strangled and still expected to go to school every single day, and your staff didn't have the decency to call me. Spend that money on more SROs in the buildings, keeping our students safe, instead of a woman who's already cost our district over $600,000.
Okay.
I would like to respond that I have great confidence in you, Chief Yates, and the work that you did investigating all of those things, all of them. I have read your reports, and you left nothing undone. And that confidence tells me that the direction that we need to go is to finally make a decision about her. I also think when you want to talk about due process, okay, I'm all for that. So why are you all opposed to tabling this until we have further information?
Mr. Chair, I move for the previous question.
Okay.
Which simply means there's no more debate. You either vote it up or down.
True, but you have to vote on that. So yeah. No, you have to vote on you're calling the question is what you're doing.
Yes.
Okay. But the person that motion is a votable issue. There's no debate on calling the question, but it has to be, again, like tabling a motion. You have to vote on it, and if the vote's up, then you will vote immediately. Okay? Since he called that, we have to entertain that motion. So let me tell you what we're going to vote on here. We're going to have a roll call vote. And if you agree with his motion, which is I want to vote immediately, you will end all debate and you will go right to the motion. Okay? Any questions by the board? Everyone understand?
Is there a second?
You have to have a second.
A second.
No, it does not have to be seconded.
Okay.
He's just calling the question. Anyone can call the question at any time,
Okay.
and it is does not have to have a second to the motion. It's a parliamentary procedure to end debate. Okay?
How many? 2/3. Okay.
I think it's a simple majority, but that's okay. I'll debate that. I've seen majority, but that's okay. Roll call vote, please. If you vote yes, you end the debate immediately. If you vote no, we will continue debate.
Okay. Mrs. Schreiber,
No.
Ms. Payne,
No.
No.
Pastor Miller,
Yes.
Elder Park,
Yes.
Mrs. Horton,
No.
Dr. Ashton.
No. We will continue debate. I like the idea of, of, of voting immediately, but when there's more debate that needs to happen and more discussion that needs to happen, I do not like to limit debate. Okay, so,
But here,
Uh,
let me say this. We
okay,
as the board have been hassling this thing out for the last 4 months, going over the same routine. Somewhere along the line, you gotta say enough is enough. And if we're talking about moving forward, let's move forward. That's the
Okay.
whole point.
okay.
So-
I would just like some questions answered before I'm comfortable moving on.
Pastor Miller,
Since
we haven't heard from you yet.
have decided to vote, I just wanted to say that I think it's unfair, the accusations against Dr. Geddes. I've been here with this board, some of you for 10 years, and Dr. Geddes has been here for 10 years. And she received a letter or note of some sort from the Ku Klux Klan. And this is what started her concerns about her safety, her sons, and her mother. And as it was stated already, that we agreed to let her work remotely. I don't know how much of this community even are aware of the accomplishments of this district in the last 10 years under the leadership of Dr. Geddes. She and her leadership helped us with the high school, all new windows, air conditioning. She helped us when it was discovered that there was a mold issue, as much as there was sentimental desires to keep that building. Dr. Geddes insisted that we get our staff and our students out of that building. Dr. Geddes insisted that as much as we have so much history with Garfield School, that there was another safety issue with the sewer system, that we get our staff and our students out. With the leadership of Dr. Geddes, we have no one in Vermilion County as a child psychiatrist, and we have so many of our students that are struggling with mental issues. And with the help of Dr. Geddes, she recruited Dr. Mahone, who has her practice in Chicago. But because Dr. Geddes requested her, she comes once a month on Saturday to diagnose our students and get them the proper help that they need. Under the leadership of Dr. Geddes, we have a Grow Your Own program now, where many districts around this country are desperate for teachers. And so Dr. Geddes helped put in place a Grow Your Own program where we as a district pay for our high school graduates to go to Eastern University and obtain their degree and then make a commitment to come back to District 118 for 5 years. We have 40 that will be graduating this summer, and that will be coming back to work in District 118. We have a medical clinic because of the leadership of Dr. Geddes, so that our students have opportunity to have medical care right in the high school. because of the leadership of Dr. Gittes, we survived the pandemic. As difficult as it was, she helped guide us through. She made available when our children could not be at school to get free food from McDonald's. Since Dr. Gittes has been here, our children get free breakfast, free lunch, because their level of income could not support their parents making sure that they had food. All the improvements to all of our buildings, all of the new additions, has been under the leadership of Dr. Gittes. District 118 North now, the former Call Hospital, is now a part of our ability to possibly take care of our students that are, I think, the 1 to the 3 year age. And there's a long waiting list for these students through the leadership of Dr. Gittes. She, above and beyond her requirements, sit and counseled many of our students to stay in school, not to do the terrible situation we just had at North Ridge. She sit and pleaded with their parents to do everything they could to get their students to cooperate with our staff. She worked extremely hard for 10 years for District 118, and so something frightened her, something scared her, something made her feel unsafe. And because of that, she is now only thought of as some person that we need to do whatever we can to take away whatever rights that she has for herself as well as her children and her mother. As an African American, I live every day with concerns of baby being killed for no other reason than the skin that I live in. People don't know me, but because of my skin, there are people still to this day hate me and others that look like me without a cause. So yes, it may not be a serious concern of some of you that you can be threatened and your family can be threatened. But I am aware Dr. Gittes has been fully committed to District 118. And these are just some of the things that makes me consider trying to let her no longer be afraid, frightened, mental challenges that may not affect anybody in this room, but it has affected her and her family. Dr. Esther.
Okay.
It's been brought up that she was given permission to work remotely by this board. I do not know when that occurred. Please tell me when we voted on her in open session to work remotely. The last time we touched on her working, it was for her to return to the building. That's the last time we discussed her in open session in that manner. And I keep hearing that the board gave her permission to work remotely. Did I miss that?
The vote was to have her return to the building.
We weren't allowed to give a date. I do remember that clearly. But we, to my knowledge, never told her in open session that we approved her working remotely. So when did we do that?
Well, there was a order of protection, and during that time period, Dr. Ashton, as I understand it, he said yes, absolutely. And no, in the middle of an emergency, that it's okay for the board to make for Dr. Ashton to make a decision, and it's okay.
It was deemed unfounded by the Danville PD, by the FBI. We paid to have a security assessment done of this building, which I have yet to see. And I was told it said the same thing. We all agreed for her to come back to work in the building. We did not give her, I will give you that, we did not give her a date because I was not allowed to give her a date. But we never voted in open session for her to work remotely. And that was after it was unfounded.
The reason that the word immediately was not included in that was because there was a majority of the people that knew that there was still a fear for her safety.
Right. And then
But it wasn't you weren't allowed. It's that a majority of the board believed that she was in fear for her safety. And so we didn't want her coming back to work here while there was still a fear for her safety.
but we told her she had to. We, as a board in open session, told her she had to come back to work. And it was unfounded by the Danville PD and by the FBI. But you're telling us that we approved that, and I'm telling you we did not approve that.
That we voted to have her come back to work on that.
Yes.
We made a statement.
It was what?
We made a statement.
Okay, it was
There
a
was a
statement
statement we voted
made
on.
that she,
Yeah.
yes, it was a statement that
Because you
this
wanted
board
to do
made.
that. Because
However,
I
that's-
knew that if I would say, because I'm sorry if that is a sticking, if that's the point to you, then I would have put out a motion, I'm serious, and clarified that for you and revoted it. Said, does the board want her to go to work? I mean, come back to work or not come back to work? And with the 7 votes in place, and I would have that done. But we've had this discussion in closed session. We did have this discussion. And if it didn't get transferred to open session, then that's probably my fault. Okay?
But there's a far
Okay.
distance between requesting her to come back to work. The majority of us said that we wanted her to come back to work, and giving her permission to stay away.
We wanted her
The
to come
big-
back to work, but
Yeah, we did want her to come back to work.
Yeah.
That's right, we did. And how long ago was that, Doc?
Yeah.
Months ago. And she still did not honor that and
I
did
don't
not come back.
remember though. I don't remember the statement being, "If you don't come back to work, you're fired."
Well,
Did I miss that somewhere?
That was
Board?
never said.
I'm telling you, I don't remember that. That's where I'm going. That's the implication that goes out to you. Now, here's public, okay, which is there's a lot of watching at the moment too.
It's off. It's
We're not
That is still recording. It is still working.
okay, so they can watch it
In-
later. Okay.
The meeting closed session where we had an attorney on Zoom and we discussed the implications of Dr. Geddes not being at work. And we took a vote and agreed that she was to be informed that she is to return to work physically.
excuse me.
Whereas for months she had been working from home, except that there's really no accountability.
Can I just clarify one thing?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. We did not vote in closed session. You
Thank you.
cannot vote in closed
Right,
session.
right. You're absolutely right.
However, we asked for a consensus and
Right.
we got a consensus of opinion.
Right.
You can't take that.
And the attorney said that she
Thank you.
needs to be told. And we were under the impression when we left that she would be told by, I think in a couple of days. but that did not happen, and nor did she return to work. Now, there is a couple, I've heard a lot of things this evening, and I retired in 2009, but that doesn't mean that I can't hear or see. When Cannon, where I was a principal 5 years, was closed, Cannon was the last neighborhood school. The only buses they had was for early childhood and one small special ed class. So when they closed Cannon, those students, and I know for a fact, for 4 weeks did not attend school because they were not provided transportation. And the reason why it was a neighborhood school is for economic reasons. A number of parents did not have transportation. So they could go to Laura Lee or the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or Boys and Girls Club, rather, pardon me. But they had to find their own way. So it was 4 weeks because I kept track every day. So we did not honor and support the parents or students of Cannon Elementary School. I just want to make that point. Thank you.
I would also just like to say again to you, Mrs. Payne, the health of those teachers, those students, as a board, we decided it was so much more important that they would not spend another day in that building because of health concerns. It was necessary. It wasn't convenient. It didn't just all things fall in place immediately, but it was out of concern for the health of those students and our staff.
But they didn't go to school. I understand the closing. I understand that. I worked there for 5 years. I understand. I know the building. I know all the little nicks and crannies. But that was not my point. My point was we did not serve our students because they did not go to school for 4 weeks. I know exactly when they went to what is now Mark Denman.
And if they had,
They did not
Then-
have the financial means
If-
of transportation.
but
nor
Mrs.
did we
Payne,
provide.
but if they
And I will stand
ended
on
up
that.
with a health issue being in that building,
I'm not
even though-
talking about going back to Cannon. I'm talking about transporting those students to East Park
The
or any
urgent-
other
the-
school
yeah,
so they can be educated.
yeah. Well,
And for 4 weeks, they were not.
well, I'm not going to say it wasn't
Well,
an
I know that it
inconvenience,
wasn't. I'm
but
going to stand on that.
it still was a concern for
Sure.
the health of those students
Sure.
and the teachers.
Okay. Any more?
No,
Anything? Anything?
I'm finished.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Can
Okay.
we get a final cost of the settlement amount?
Excuse me?
The final cost of the settle amount that we're voting on.
I can get you the number. I mean, we can add it up from here if, I mean, I won't have a number. I'm sorry, I do not have the exact number. And I won't probably say it because until the agreement comes out, I'm not gonna probably release that.
Is that in TRS penalty? Do we know the final of the TRS penalty? Do we have that for
I don't know
sure?
if there will be a TRS penalty. There may not be a TRS penalty.
That's
There-
not what the attorney said to us and, well, to you, actually, even. The attorneys floated the number $95,000 at least in TRS penalties that we pay. Those are some of the unanswered questions and concerns that I have that we're moving forward without answering those things. We're just looking the other way and just say, well, it'll all work out. Well, it's going to work out on you.
And I didn't think we can approve this settlement unless it was subject to legal and TRS approval. That's what our attorneys are telling us. So
It's a review,
Review, yeah.
I do not understand. How are we?
but they've reviewed.
That's not right. Give me a minute, I'll find it.
We'll go back to the last motion. But
I-
tonight, which doesn't make any difference because tonight is consideration of it and those two stipulations are not in it. Can I say a few things now?
Can I just rebut
Okay,
that for
go
just 1 minute?
Go ahead.
This is in the legal thing that you received today. Again, I listened to the board's vote, and it was to approve the settlement, quote, subject to legal and TRS review. If TRS review and legal review either were not completed or resulted in recommendations against approval, there's a risk that signing the settlement without a further public vote could be viewed as exceeding the president's authority, particularly as to an action of such significance and subject to public scrutiny.
But that's why we're having a vote now. Because what that reason that was generated, which I told you before, was if we went ahead, I'm not even, I'm sorry, I don't, that's the thing leading you out, and I don't really want to do that. I have no interest in that. The reason why we're here this evening, let's go to number one, is if you remember, we've already approved the settlement, right? Folks, this has been done before at a previous board meeting, and we've gone through this, and we've heard the same feedback, and or different people or whatever else, and we've gone through the debate, and we had approved this before. Okay, so your question should be, then why are we doing this evening? And the reason why is it has been amended, it has been changed, and the change is in our favor because we wanted to make a stipulation that if there is a TRS penalty, which is the retirement system, for want to know about TRS, everybody in the room pretty well knows what TRS is, because if you're a teacher, you know. If there is a TRS penalty, how do we handle that? Is that the full responsibility of the, and I'm not going to go too far into this because, again, this is a contract with an employee, and I can't talk about too much more of this, okay? But I have to explain why we are here this evening. So we added a negotiation point where we addressed that situation. That was not in the first agreement that we had already approved, okay? So that's why we have to come back this evening and approve the amended settlement, okay? Either we approve it or we don't approve it, okay? But there are no stipulations after that. There were stipulations. What she was saying was it has to be reviewed by TRS and it has to have a legal review. And there are no stipulations. If this is voted on tonight, that's it, okay? The first one had those stipulations on it because we were going to approve it before everybody else looked at it. So it could be in the holding tank, ready to be able to approve finally if everything checked out. Okay? But as I said, we changed the agreement. If we change the agreement, we can't sign that agreement because that would be null and void. That's not the agreement that you have. So we have to come back this evening and ask for approval of the amended agreement. Okay? Now, a couple other things that I would like to say, because I heard a lot of things tonight, and some of them I obviously don't agree with, which I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going transparency, all these words that are going on. I'm going to probably disagree with some of these things, which you would probably expect me to do. But we don't need to go through the whole laundry list of it because that's petty and doesn't need to be done. Okay, just a couple points I want to make. If we don't approve a settlement, okay, where are you? Okay, and to those who wanted to table the motion, I said, why are you rushing into this? Which I've heard a lot. And I said, this has been going on since, and I was talking to my wife about this, and I said, since November, and she goes, no, it's been going on since September or October, the whole thing. But we really talked about settlement from November on, and we've been working on this since then. This is probably in the previous discussion also. So this isn't something that we're just rushing into. We've had ample time when we hear call for investigations. If there was something nefarious, if there was something really terrible, and I talked to the attorney today, I said, given the attorney the ability to go through all Dr. Geddes' emails, said, you find anything there? No, I haven't found anything in good. You had since November till now, okay? And I'm going, for all the people that say, well, there's something there. And then, what is it? It should be a little more apparent. I can argue the other side to say, well, you need to do the investigation to find that out. Okay, I understand that. And you can investigate. You're going to have a new board, and I'm not being facetious, but investigate. I mean, when no one's saying not to, go ahead. But why? Why is the settlement? Why is this a thing for now? Okay. Why is it an okay idea? Because the idea is it a good idea? Yeah, that's the other thing is when people asked about it, it said, "Do I like it? No. I wish there was no reason for a settlement." Okay, that's number one. I wish this whole thing never occurred. I wish we didn't have to go through this process. But now that we are here, and we've worked this long to get this far to make a settlement, it appears, and when you weigh all the considerations, I mean, what's best for the district? Okay, and people go, well, not to pay out all the money. I said the potential litigation is what I have to look at, and if I can limit exposure for your district in the future and limit that exposure, I think that's a really positive thing to do. Okay, what is the monetary worth to it? That's a question that everybody has to answer to themselves. Okay, so we're gonna argue this for years. Okay, but I have to look out for the well-being of the district. It's in our control right now with this board that has been working on this for this many months. Okay, to go, oh, just wait till, which my wife likes that idea. She said, just wait. To wait till the next board comes in. We have been the people that are the most knowledgeable of the last situation. You may not like that, okay? And I'm sure many of you don't. However, we've been working on this, and not quickly. We've been trying to do it carefully. And tell me, I tell the story. I was on the phone with the New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, with the attorneys. We've been working very hard on this. It's a difficult decision to make. It is not something I expect people to slap you on the back and go, yes, that was a great decision. Because there's a negative either way. Because if we don't do it, there's a whole set of consequences that could happen. If we do the settlement, it limits some of those consequences, but it costs money to do so. Okay? And makes a lot of people mad. It's actually a tough decision to do the settlement. It's an easy decision to go, I've washed my hands and just let it go and let the next board do it.
The board wants to do it.
That's an easy decision to me.
I don't know how you decide on it. Would you buy a house?
This isn't a discussion. I'm sorry, you had your point. You had your time. It is not a discussion time. It's time.
Understood.
Thank you. I appreciate that too. Thank you for not arguing. Okay. I truly do. So I have other points. You don't need to hear them. Okay, those were the major ones. It's a very tough decision, and I'm sure a lot of people will be unhappy either way. I could vote either way on this. We'll see.
With all due respect, Mr. President, you know exactly what our attorneys have found. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That you know exactly what they have found. And for you to allude that.
Okay. Anything else? No? No? Okay. Voting on settlement, Dr. Geddes, settlement. Roll call vote, please.
So a yes vote means what, and a no vote means what?
A yes means you agree to the settlement. The settlement does, and again, just because we vote yes this evening, the settlement needs to be signed. Okay? And what you don't know are the particulars on this is that you don't need a majority, and not everybody has to sign yay on this. I don't know if the board's aware of this, if they read it, they would. Not everybody has to sign yay on it, but it needs to be signed, and it needs to be signed by Dr. Geddes and agreed to, which I don't know if she'll sign it. Okay, I don't know. Maybe you do, but that's when it would take effect. So we're voting on the settlement. Yes, we approve it. No, you don't, or you're in opposition to it. Roll call vote. Any other questions? Everyone's aware of how we're going to vote. What we're voting on. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Howard,
Absolutely not. No.
Schrader,
Yes.
Ms. Payne,
No.
Pastor Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Corley,
Absolutely not.
Elder Park,
Absolutely, yes.
Dr. Ashton.
Yes. Motion passes 4-3. Informational items. Do you have any?
We have Mr. Brett's first, and then I do have one.
Graduation is a
No, cell phones.
Right, even better.
Yeah. So I'll just here to make the board and our new incoming board members aware of some impending legislation. And then I do feel compelled I need to state the perspective of myself, the administrative team, and the high school very briefly. So I will just read and then get out of the way. So on Thursday, March 6th, Governor J.B. Pritzker joined Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, teachers, school administrators, and municipal officials to propose a classroom cell phone ban in schools across Illinois, which is Senate Bill 2427, which would require all school boards to adopt policies prohibiting the use of wireless communication devices during instructional time. That would include any wireless device such as cell phones, laptops, tablets, and gaming devices that can provide voice, messaging, or other data communication between two or more parties. However, it would not include school-issued devices or devices that students are required to possess or use for educational purposes. The district policies would, at minimum, provide the use of those devices during instructional time. But the policies would also have to allow exceptions that allow students to use them during emergencies or in response to an imminent threat to someone's health or safety, or if necessary for IEP goals. The bill has cleared the Senate. We are watching it carefully as it will go into effect for the 2025-2026 school year if voted on. State Superintendent Dr. Tony Sanders says we fully support this legislation to limit cell phone use in schools because it creates a more focused, engaging, and supportive environment.
Yes.
Similar legislation has been adopted already by 9 states. 15 states in the District of Columbia have this proposed legislation in their state legislatures currently. While yes, we would need to revisit our policy if this goes into law, which I think it will, and schools are operating and districts are operating from the standpoint that it will. From my perspective, this is far less a policy discussion than an enforcement discussion that this will necessitate. I think the method of enforcement is very key and very important. Frankly, a growing part of this conversation is you're seeing a rise in schools going to a tool called Yonder pouches. These are cases that students carry with them. Phones go in the pouch upon entry to the building. They are magnetically locked upon entry and magnetically unlocked when students leave school. Schools in our area, Urbana Middle School and Peoria Public Schools, in Peoria, grades 7 through 12, utilize Yonder pouches and have reported success after some inevitable and early transition pains. We also have a district or a school in our building that doesn't allow cell phones, and I think it works pretty well. And I think Ms. Campbell would be in the future open to speaking on the positives of that. I want to share a couple other things. When our teachers show the student news, many of them will supplement it with a program called CNN 10. This is a objective information only current events newscast for students to be updated on what's going on in the world. This week they actually highlighted the positive impact of Yonder pouches at a high school in Arlington, Virginia. As I watched the focus group, one student stated, "It was hard at first, but I actually realized I was addicted." Another student said, "On the first day in chemistry, I kept reaching for my pouch and realized I couldn't, so all I could do was sit and listen to the teacher." I am publicly stating my position that this is a strategy we seriously need to consider, even absent of the legislation being passed if it does not pass. To me, it's the best path forward. Enforcing and curbing something as pervasive as cell phones necessitates a strategy like this, in my opinion, if we're going to be successful. One of our deans, who's sitting in the back, with permission, in collaboration with Mr. Hart, disseminated a survey to the staff in the district as part of a graduate school class she's in. Teachers were asked on a scale of 1 to 10 to please rate the challenge that cell phones pose to them in the classroom. The average rating at the high school is an 8.3 out of 10. I see the constant, never-ending battle and demoralizing impact curbing cell phone use in school has on the DHS staff. We need a strategy like Yonder Bags to truly reset the culture over time. Without it, we are asking our teachers to engage in a never-ending challenge, an eventual exclusionary discipline, which myself nor any of the staff want. I'm fearful of this unless we look at tools such as Yonder Bags to come into compliance with this impending legislation. I actually think our policy isn't too far off from meeting the legal responsibility, but I think we need to reset the culture around cell phones, and Yonder allows us to do that. It's important, though, that I do acknowledge other perspectives. It would not be fair of me to stand here and only promote one perspective. I want to be clear, I'm not blaming the students. The students are simply growing up and operating in a world we created for them. So this isn't on them. The most anecdotal concern I hear to something like Yonder Bags is, what do we do in cases of emergencies? That's a very real concern. It does need to be talked about. And even the convenience it is to text your child like an update or a change in the daily plans or something like that. And I do understand that now that I have a child in school. But honestly, I think this is something that we need. And I'm going to close with a response of a teacher on the survey that I think really frames my position and the position of the teachers. And if you knew this teacher's name, I think you would all know who he is. And any parent who's had a child in this teacher's class would probably rave about this teacher. I know they would. He said, "My father asked me what the number one problem in our school is. I said, cell phones. He said, I thought you would say that. He asked me, why don't they get rid of phones? I said, I don't know. It would solve a lot of problems. I don't think there is a punishment in place or one that we could create that would actually impact phone use. Hence why I think we need to look at something like Yonder. I think viewing phones from the point of view that it can be dealt with through consequences is the wrong approach. I agree with that. That's me interjecting there. It's a connection issue. A phone in a teenager's hand in a classroom drives disconnection. It disconnects them from learning, their peers, their teachers, and their surroundings. We have to view it as how we can get students to reconnect. I believe getting phones out of schools is the answer. Go visit an elementary school where phones have not become part of the daily culture. You will see connection, you will see learning, you will see engagement. There are still problems, but teachers are able to manage those problems. What you won't see is people with their headphones on, looking at their phone, and not paying attention to their environment. I do want to add, it's very important that we get parent voice on this. And we do have Viking Roundtable, April 29th at 6 p.m. That will be the topic of discussion. So parents, I invite you to attend. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm looking at you and I'm appalled. Where am I? I'm appalled. Not at the staff, the students. I'm appalled at the parenting that's happening in our community, in our district. There was no